Hey! This week I am focusing on motivation, and today's video is kind of basically my blog in video format for all you people that prefer to hear things rather than read them, or you're the kind of person that likes to listen to audios and webinars and things like that, like I do, while you're driving, for example, or while you're traveling, where reading is probably not the thing you should be doing at that time. So I wanted to put today's blog into video form. So please excuse if it does look like I'm reading, because I am. But that's how you put a blog into video form. So let's get started. So the blog title is How Do You Get Motivated? And its topic is on setting goals or resolutions. Okay, it's coming up to New Year. It's Christmas in less than a week's time now. It's Wednesday now, so 4 days until Christmas. A week and a half until New Year, when everybody starts setting, or most people start setting resolutions. So I've written this blog post to help you to keep them. Set decent ones and then keep them. So you need to find your motivation. If you're going to set a new habit or a new resolution, you need to find your motivation to do it. Without motivation, you ain't going to do it, because you need the motivation to change your subconscious, to change your self-image, to become the person that you want to be. And that's what this post is about today. So motivation keeps us going regardless of what's going on around us. And without motivation, we just ultimately give up. We need to make a committed decision. We need to decide what it is that we want to do, and then decide that we're going to go after it. But if we don't change what's inside, we're never going to be successful. Okay? But it must be pointed out that our motivation usually comes after we've made the decision and started the new behaviour. All the friction in a task is at the beginning. Once started, progress occurs more naturally. It's easier to finish something than it is to start something. As Newton's first law says, objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Once a task has begun, it's easier to continue moving it forward. So one of the keys to getting motivated to get your new habits done is to make it easy to start. And you start by deciding what you want and then making a committed decision. Committed decisions are the key to motivation. Many of us know what we would like in our lives, but we couple that with thoughts of we could never do it because of X, Y, Z. We don't have enough money, we're scared of flying, so we can't do that round the world trip. Got no spare time, we've got people that depend on us. The list is endless. But one day we decide no more. We want that thing and we set the goal to get it. We want to be fitter, we want to be healthier, we want to be earning more money. And it's usually around this time of year, when we're reflecting on the past year and where we are now, when we start making those decisions of what we want and where we want to go. But without the committed decision to do it, it's never going to happen. So a committed decision is such that nothing on earth will stop you from following through. It's the decision to get fit, to stop drinking, to give up smoking, regardless of the outside world, regardless of other people's opinions. It's your life, it's your decision what you do. There's no, I'll get fit when I have the money to go to the gym or hire a personal trainer. You can get fit and you can make that committed decision by following along with free YouTube videos in your front room, or walking or running around your area. You don't need a personal trainer to get fit. You just need the discipline and the committed decision to get started. There's also no, I'll stop drinking, except for when I go out with my friends. The committed decision is to stop drinking regardless. If your friends don't back you on that decision and they pester you to drink, or they give you a hard time, maybe you need to consider that their friend status might not be there anymore. But they might even join you. So just do it. If that's what you want, then do it. Once you've made the decision to do something, the next step is to get fully involved with the thing you want. So, what is motivation? Motivation it boils down to our wanting, our human desires. We decide what we want, a change in our behaviour, our thoughts, our feelings, our self-concept, our environment, or our relationships. And then that's what we want, so that's what we go after. The dictionary definition of motivation is a reason or reasons for acting or behaving in a particular way. And to me, that infers that our motivation for motivating ourselves is the particular behaviour we want to achieve. So motivation is what will shift our subconscious mind and upgrade our paradigms to reach the thing that we want. And there are 3 types of motivation and 3 components. The 3 types are intrinsic, extrinsic, and family. Intrinsic comes from inside. They're internal rewards such as gratification or pride from completing a complicated puzzle. Extrinsic come from outside of us, external rewards such as material objects, money, praise, recognition. And family arise from the need or want to support your family. It can include going to work in a place that you really don't want to go to, but you do it because your motivation is to make sure that your family has a roof over its head, that you're financially supporting them. The 3 components of motivation are activation, persistence, and intensity. So activation is the decision to initiate behaviour, your committed decision, such as enrolling on a course to learn some new skills. Your persistence is the continued effort towards a goal regardless of obstacles, such as showing up for your course after a late night the night before. And your intensity is your concentration and the amount that you put into pursuing your goal. So in the example of the course, one student might just be coasting through, while another engages and participates with discussions and does wider study. But why is this important to understand? Your motivation underpins everything that you do. Have you noticed that you're much more able to do something to a good standard when you want to do it? And how much of a burden and a drag something is that you don't want to do but you have to do it, and how poor a job you normally do when you don't want to do it? Understanding how motivation works not only increases your efficiency, it also encourages and drives you to do the things that you want to do or don't want to do. It gives you that drive to go and do them anyway. Helps you avoid behaviours you don't want to do anymore that are unhealthy, gives you more control of your life, and it also improves your well-being and your happiness because you're working towards something. And humans are goal-striving organisms. We want to be working towards something. And when we're working towards something, we're happier. Sometimes it's really easy to find motivation. Other times it just feels like you're in a death spiral of procrastination. Been there? It's not fun. But at some point, if you keep persisting with it, your motivation will make it easier to change than to stay the same. It'll be easier to take action and do the workouts than it will be to sit on the sofa, munching that extra biscuit, feeling fat and annoyed at yourself and frustrated. Every choice has a price. Sitting on the sofa is a choice. Going to the gym or working out is a choice. Motivation allows us to bear the inconvenience of action over the pain of remaining the same. Paradigm's always going to fight you to stay the same, but a big motivator will enable you to change the paradigm, one decision at a time. This means after maybe a couple of weeks of procrastination or more, it becomes more painful to not take the action than to actually do it. So where does motivation come from? Lots of theories on motivation, including our biological need, so our motivation to eat, sleep, have shelter, drink, reproduce. But then we've also got motivation that we get from the things that we want. So not necessarily things to survive, but the things that we want, the better job, the round the world trip, that sort of thing. There are numerous different forces that direct and guide our motivations. What an enthusiasm pushes you forward will be completely ineffective for someone else. And that's what you need to remember. And motivation is all individual. It's all on what works for you. So tips for improving your motivation. Everyone experiences fluctuations. Some days it'll be really good. Other days you just don't want to get out of bed. It happens. We're human. They will be different for everyone, but this is a list of things that you can try. So check your goal. Make sure your goal is what you want and that you're working towards it effectively. If it's not really what you want, it's not giving you motivation, then change it. Stop and change it. There's no point in working towards something that you don't really want. If you are feeling overwhelmed because the thing that you're doing is just too big, break it down into smaller steps. A house is built one brick at a time. You don't click your fingers and there's a house. It's one small step at a time. Improve your confidence, learn new skills, practice new skills, do some more training, focus on the things that you're good at. Use your incentives carefully. So if you're intrinsically motivated to do something, you don't need an extrinsic reward as well. You get the reward from intrinsic, from internal. Remind yourself of how far you've already come. I find, especially when I'm walking up a hill or a mountain, I've still got a long way to go. But look how far I've come. Instant motivation to keep going. Introduce new challenges to your current behaviours. So if you feel like you're stagnating, maybe add an extra level of challenge. If you are trying to get fit, maybe try and beat your previous time, or have a section of your run that you do every day that is like a little time trial. See if you can beat your time from before. Extra challenge. Don't just visualize your success. Make sure you're visualizing the steps that you're going to take to get to your success as well. Success doesn't just appear. You have to work for it. So make sure you enjoy the journey as well as when you actually get to your success. Causes of low motivation. As I've said, everyone has different things that motivate them, and the same is true for things that will cause low motivation. But 3 big ones are all or nothing thinking. So everything must be perfect, or what's the point? One small mistake will completely zap your motivation to keep pushing forward. So don't focus on them. There's no such thing as a quick fix. What worked for someone else might not work for you. So don't focus on quick fixes. They don't exist. And one size fits all. It doesn't. Something that works for you isn't going to work for someone else, and vice versa. So the best way to maintain your motivation is to create habits. The biggest killer of motivation is wasting too much time and energy on other things that are the noise around the activities that will get you to your goal, the things you procrastinate with rather than doing the things, the action-taking steps, the income-earning steps, the goal-reaching steps that you need to be doing. And this can be avoided by scheduling your activities specifically. So if you don't set a time to work out each day, you're going to wake up hoping you find the motivation to exercise. If you don't schedule a time to make your sales calls, your attention will be elsewhere and you'll keep making excuses not to do them. Setting up a schedule puts your decision making on autopilot. You've already made the decision to do it, so when the time comes, you'll just do it. It makes it more likely you'll follow through regardless of your motivation levels. The schedule means you don't have to wait for motivation or inspiration to strike. You just have to have the discipline to complete each action you schedule. So schedules can also evolve into rituals, a specific rule or a specific order of things that you do becomes a ritual, and the first thing that you do in those rituals is the thing that triggers off you then completing the habit. It could be as simple as putting your shoes on to go for a run. That starts your ritual. So the key to any good ritual is that it removes the need to make a decision. Deciding how to get started is the biggest stopper to any new behaviour, and the ritual provides a mindless way to initiate your behaviour, making starting your habits easier, which ensures you follow through on a more consistent basis. So using the same warm-up routine in the gym will enable you to exercise more consistently. You don't have to think about what you're doing, you already know. Or following a power down routine before you go to bed is going to allow you to sleep better. And 3 simple steps to build better rituals and make motivation a habit is number 1, make the start of your ritual or routine as easy as possible so you can't say no to it. You shouldn't need any motivation to do the first action. It can be as simple as setting out your yoga mat the night before. Number 2 is ensure your routine gets you moving towards the end goal. Once started, your routine should transition into more and more physical movement, and I don't mean just like exercise. It's anything that moves you towards your goal. So something physical that moves you towards the goal of getting writing, for example. And number 3, follow the same routine and pattern every single time. This creates an automatic series of events that you always perform for a certain task. It makes it automatic and it sets up your goal achieving activity to succeed. Your routine becomes so tied to your performance, you don't need to know how to find your motivation, you just need to do that first thing. And the ball starts rolling. So finally, I want to move on to how this is relevant to resolutions, making New Year's resolutions. So to stay motivated for the long run, there's something called a Goldilocks rule, where it's a just manageable line that you walk in any activity. If something is too easy, you'll get bored and won't do it. If something is too hard, you'll get demoralized and won't do it. The Goldilocks rule says that just between those two, where there's just enough of a challenge to keep you interested, but not too much that you get overwhelmed and can't do it because it's too hard. Okay, we love challenges, but only if they're in this optimal zone of difficulty. There is a chance you'll fail, and success isn't guaranteed, but it is also possible to succeed. That's the line. Okay, so when you reach that line and you walk it, it's sometimes referred to as being in flow, being in the zone. Flow is the mental state you experience when you're so focused on the task at hand that the rest of the world fades away. However, there's always a however. There will always be days when your motivation to perform a task will dip. And what do you do at that point? You can think of your mind as a suggestion engine. So instead of every thought being an order, it's a suggestion. For every negative thought that comes up, I'm tired, I should give up, this is pointless, you can suggest a new positive one. I'll feel good when the work is done though. Or I have the ability to finish this task even when I don't want to. They're not orders, they're suggestions. We cope better with suggestions than we do with following an order. Also, remember that discomfort is temporary. That habit you have to perform is only one teeny tiny part of your whole entire day. So embrace the discomfort, let it strengthen you. Remember that you will never regret good work. It might be difficult at the time, but once it's done, how good are you going to feel? So just get on, just do it. We want the final result without the mistakes and the discomfort, but we can't have it. We can't have the final result without doing the hard work. You can't have the body of a god without going to the gym or going for your run or eating healthy. It doesn't work like that. We have to do the actions to get to the goal. But have you ever felt bad after you've completed something that's worthy to a good standard? You might have struggled for weeks on it, but how good do you feel when it's done? And lastly, just remember, it's life. Life is a constant balance between giving into the ease of distraction or overcoming the discomfort of discipline. Life is the result of 100,000 daily battles and tiny decisions to either carry on or give up. Spend every single moment you have in a way that will make you proud. So when you're setting your resolutions, remember that you're setting them because you're reflecting on where you are now and where you want to be. We set resolutions to get that ideal situation of where we want to be, but we rarely change our paradigm or our self-image from the get-go. I do discuss that in other posts on my blog, so feel free to go and have a look. But motivation is the key ingredient to changing your self-image. If you don't want to change internally, you're not going to. Your goal requires you to become someone else. If you were that person already, you wouldn't need to set the goal because you'd already be there. But to be someone else, you must go through the process of updating your self-image. And as that can be a very hard thing to do, you need the motivation to do it. Otherwise, your paradigm's just going to put you back in front of the sofa. On the sofa in front of the TV. You need to focus on where you want to be, what you want to become, and see that person, feel that person, be that person in your mind. It's the only way you're going to do it. Now, I do have an event coming up on the 1st of January. I don't know how long it's going to run for, but it will be a motivational event to help you to set reasonable, realistic, achievable goals for you, for your resolutions. And it will then kick off a 15-day challenge to get you past Blue Monday that happens on the 16th of January, which is the point that some crazy person somewhere has worked out is the point at which all our resolutions fail. All those times people buy a gym membership on the 1st of January, go twice, never go again. That workshop will help you to avoid that. It will help you get to your success that you want in a most comfortable way possible to be the person that you want to be. I hope you'll join me on that workshop, and the details will be in the content or in the over there. Any of my social medias. I'll put a link on Facebook and on LinkedIn. It will be running through Zoom so we can have some interaction. And all the details will be in the comments of this video. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day, and thank you for joining me. Have a great one.